Hello and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. Here we are at 6:07 Central Time, Central Standard Time, February 1st, 2018. Carnival season is beginning to head toward its peak. Now, I wanted to start at exactly the top of the hour, but I got delayed because I made this good breakfast. I had the broiler heated up, and so on the pan I put some cooking oil and spread it out, and I put 2 slices of Armor Treat. They call it Armor Treat, sort of like the Armor competitor to Spam, and it's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's up to the Spam level, but it's okay. I diced up the yellow onions, put it on top of that. Then I took 2 basil leaves, put it there. And then I took 2 medium eggs, and I didn't necessarily scramble them. I just dropped them on there, and then I kind of broke them up and stirred them around pretty well with the spoon. So they weren't scrambled, they were blended. Or as Jack Daniels would say, mingled. And then I had the 2 thin slices of, not Kraft brand, I'm not talking about Heinz Kraft produced, like artisanal, whatever. So probably all fake anyway. It's probably all factory stuff, but Swiss cheese on top of that. So then I put that in the broiler, and I got it to where it was just like a cap, you know, that cheese melted. So it was almost like an egg pie. I'm not really a shake and bake person. I'm more of a buy and fry person, but it came out very nice. And then I put the Louisiana Supreme hot sauce on it and the black pepper. Well, that took a little while, so you know, kept me from coming on at the top of the hour. Anyway, let's look at the product. Very Old Barton. 80 proof Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey from Bardstown and Owensboro, Kentucky, okay? A Sazerac brand introduced in 1964. There was Barton whiskey before 64. I think that started in like 52 or 53. But the Very Old Barton brand trademark was acquired in 64. Crafted Very Old Barton. Okay. There's also a 90 proof. Oh, there's a bunch of different proofs. Okay. So you can look it up on greatbourbons.com and they'll give all the proofs. I just wanted to start at the base. I could have bought them all when I was in Kentucky, but I said I got to have a limit on what I'm buying. So I just bought the base model. Staunch risk indicated. When you say very old, is that a labeling device, or has the bottle been dug out of a sarcophagus? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a labeling device, but it sounds nice, you know. Versus Redemption High Rye Bourbon, introduced in 2010. So it's only 8 years old as opposed to 54 years old. This is 92 proof. So we got a 92 proof versus 80 proof. Now, there was sort of a little disastrous, you might have noticed, taste challenge 2 days ago when I did Early Times versus Redemption High Rye, and I got them mixed up. And I was pretty shook by that because I thought, and then people say, oh, you tried to provide cover for yourself because you said that before you went on air, you were thinking that the 3-year age versus 1-year age might make a difference. Then you threw that in after you failed. But it is the truth. I was thinking that, okay? So now I'm going to tell you before I do this what I'm thinking. Okay, yeah, the Redemption is higher proof. That should make a difference. Yes, it's a high rye mash bill. That might make a difference, but the only problem is that Sazerac, Barton 1792 distillery, Sazerac brands tend to be high rye mash bill. They tend to have a high rye mash bill relative to other bourbons, so that could cause a problem. Here's another problem. This is straight bourbon, aged 4 years. Oh, this is simply bourbon, not straight bourbon, just bourbon, aged only 1 year. And that could make a big difference, you see. Now, it's a deep amber color. And this one's, oh, not quite as deep. Now, how can you get such a deep color after only 1 year in the barrel? They can't add coloring. They could add coloring if they wanted to, sure, but it wouldn't be able to be a bourbon. But don't they say on the Redemption website that they use the alligator char, like the deepest charred wood that you can get? That's probably doing that. It's all that charcoal. And I've seen that, the regular charred wood planks, and they're thick. It's like this thick of charcoal. So the alligator chards, where it's really burnt and it's like rumpled, you know, the charcoal become like alligator skin in the barbecue pit. So that's probably the reason. Now, which one's better? Well, you would hope that the Redemption would be better since it's $23. And the very Old Barton is about $14 a bottle. If it's that much, it might be 12. Yeah, let's say $12 a bottle. Yeah, I think that's what it is. That's for the standard. Now, if you get the higher proofs and the longer age, like I think there's like an 18-year age very Old Barton, something like that. So yeah, they'll cost a good deal more. And then once you start getting into Barton 1792, wow, now you're talking about 35, 40, 50, 60, up to $100 a bottle. So there's a whole line, and it goes from entry level to very expensive. But actually, the best-selling very Old Barton in Kentucky is this one, the cheap model, you know, because we're discovering that the average drinker is looking for value maybe more than cachet. They don't really need to go to a party and come in there with a swagger, bragging about how they stood in line for 3 hours to get something, you know. So that's starting to lose its appeal. Okay. All right. So if I'm talking $12 versus $23, we would hope the $23 would be way better, right? I'm going to save some of this because I have a few more things to bring into play as far as bourbons and whiskey, standard whiskey, because I got a lot of blended, which I wouldn't put very Old Barton up against blended whiskeys because it's not the same. I mean, yeah, most of the blended whiskeys use bourbon, but they're not bourbon, so I'm not going to cross line, you know what I mean? I'm not going to cross style. I've got a bunch of Scotch to do, and I've got a bunch of Canadian whiskey to do, so there's no need to cross style. If there's one thing I've got, it's not a lack of whiskeys to review, unopened whiskeys. So I was going to do brandy, you know, like 10 years worth of brandy reviews, but the whiskey turned out to be cheaper, actually, and more readily available. Like you can get a few brandies, yeah, you know, and they're very low price, not as cheap as the whiskey, but then when you start climbing the ladder, it gets pricey quick, you know, talking 70, 80, 90, $100 a bottle, up to $3,500 a bottle for the cognac, the Louis the 13th, $3,900 a bottle. So, and secondly, there wasn't a lot of interest from other people. Like most people were like, ho hum, they weren't interested. So the whole purpose of doing it was to talk to other people about it. But nobody wanted to talk about it now, and not really. So, well, maybe in 10 years, whiskey will go down and brandy will go up, and then everybody want to talk about brandy. All right, I was in a liquor store the other day, and a guy said, "Give me that E&J." So, I mean, it sells, you know. All right, but I guess I like them both. So why not just do the whiskey? One's darker than the other. This must be this must be the redemption, but I'm going to mix them up well. I mean, there's so many cheap brandies around. I don't like to use the word cheap. Let's say value priced, because some of them are not bad. Hartley, yeah. But I know that I talked to a guy named Ryan out in California, and he gets a whole different lineup. And then the Corbel looks nice. The Corbel, that's Brown-Forman. That's the same people that make Jack Daniels. But Corbel, I've had the XS, which is made with spices, you know, like cinnamon. It's pretty good. Not really my thing. I'm not too big into flavored stuff, but I could get the Corbel California brandy over there at Dormax, but it's about $16 a bottle, which is not a lot, obviously. But I've got so much of back stock of what what I have now is so backed up. Let's say it was 2018. Let's get back to brandy around 2028, 25. I think we could do that. God willing, and if I'm alive, if you're alive, there's still a United States. Anyway, and then people are telling me about rum, tequila. I just don't think that I'm going to be addressing that stuff. And gin, I'm not going to be addressing gin. Gin is sort of like wheat beers to me. I mean, I can drink gin and try it, and I can tell you, yeah, this is good. You could tell it's well made, whatever, and all the little intricate qualities, because they're not all the same. I don't care what you say. You say, oh, they're all the same. They're just different bottles. No. But I don't really like it. I don't dislike it. It's like wheat beers. I don't dislike them, but I don't really like them. You dig it? So I'll review them, and you can tell if they're quality or not, and etc. And I don't mind buying them. But I mean, yeah, I might buy the Miles gin because I see it around. I don't know, but I don't think I will. I'll just stick to whiskey. Are we going to see any Irish whiskey reviews by St. Paddy's Day? Unfortunately, I do not think so. And the reason is I've got too much Scotch, too much Canadian blended, and too much American blended. So I would like to do it. And there's a number of Irish whiskeys I could get, like a big number. You know what I mean? Like a huge number of well-known brands and many not so well-known brands. Well-known brands that I can get right there at Walmart. Winn-Dixie. That would keep me busy for a year. But I just don't. There's no point to it at this point. There's no point to it because I got too much back stock. If you came to this house and looked in the cabinet, you'd say, "Oh my goodness, we need to do an intervention." I'm doing my own intervention because I realized that I got too much back stock, so I'm trying to drink it down. Okay, and so I'm like dedicated February to drinking down that Sacred Bond brandy. I dedicated January to drinking down the Christian Brothers VSOP Grand Amber Reserve, Grand Reserve VSOP, and I did it. I finished it, so I was so proud. So the Sacred Bond, it's like you're gonna drink it, but Sacred Bond is 100 proof. You're not going to drink that down too fast, or you're going to go down, and I don't want to go down. Okay. Oh, that smells very nice. Top of the morning to you. That smells very nice too, but it doesn't smell quite as exuberant. And what I mean is this one over here seems to have a more robust rye spice presentation, but didn't I say that about Early Times versus Redemption? And I had them mixed up, which to me is not a good sign. I figured you just sold shots in a little stand for the festival season. Laugh out loud. Huh. Yeah. I don't really like festivals. Matter of fact, the church fair is coming up and they're going to want me to work at it. I did that last year. Oh man, I can't do it because I got season tickets for the baseball game. Stephen F. Austin State at Southeastern Louisiana University, all 3 days of the weekend. Heck, I won't be able to go to the fair because I'll have to sit in that college baseball stadium and watch college baseball 3 days in a row. Oh man. Oh man. That's all right. I'm going to work at bingo this month and every month. I haven't missed a month since I joined the Knights of Columbus in August 2012. I haven't missed a month of bingo, and in some months I've doubled up. And I haven't missed a council meeting, not a single council meeting. In all those years. Okay, so this one's more rye spice. That one is more standard base model. It doesn't really even smell like a true bourbon. It smells like a blended American whiskey, American blended whiskey. But no, it is not. It's a real bourbon, and it's a straight bourbon. But I never said it was a great bourbon. I said it was straight. I never said it was great. There's a little floral and a little candy sweetness also. Not bad. It's not a bad aroma, but if you're used to like say Four Roses or Maker's Mark or something like that, and then you smell this, you're going to say, hey, there's something lacking here. I know, that's why you're paying $12 a bottle. Okay, taste. Right off the bat, it's a high rye note. It's peppery rye, but it's not harsh, and there's a lot of sweetness and caramel sugar and, well, of course, corn, because bourbon has to be at least, what, 51% corn, right? Good. Well, this is a lot more than 51% corn. It's 60%. Wow. And the very Old Barton is 51% corn, but it's probably like 70, it's probably 75% corn, I bet you. You say, well, isn't that what American blended whiskey is? Like 80% grain neutral spirits, which is corn whiskey, unaged corn distillate. Yeah, that's right. Except that the straight bourbon has to age that stuff for 2 years, you see. They've got to cut it with water to reduce the proof. And it's got to be aged at least 2 years. And then it miraculously transforms from grain neutral spirits to bourbon. Yep. So if you get the really cheap stuff, like Carstairs or Beam's 8-Star, they're just putting the distillate straight in the bottle. You know what I mean? They make it, they take the corn, they distill it, bam, it's clear, odorless, colorless, tasteless. They cut it with water so it's down to 80 proof, and boom, they put it in the bottle alongside 20% straight bourbon whiskey, and then bam, there you go. And of course, they blend it together. There's your Beam's 8-Star. 20% straight Jim Beam and 80% corn distillate. But you could fool a lot of people with that stuff. You could tell them, here's some bourbon, and they'd believe it if they didn't see the bottle. If they saw the bottle, they'd say, what's that? Oh, Lord. And you went to a bar and you paid $8 and you ordered a Beam and Coke. I want a Beam and Coke, and you paid $8 and you didn't notice that they used the 8-Star. They didn't use Jim Beam white label, but you got food, but you didn't care because you were drinking with your friends and you don't mind laying down the money, but you could have bought the whole bottle for $8 without a tip. I don't know, man. This has a pretty strong rye spice too. I mean, it's kicking in as time goes on. As I sip on it, it's coming into play much more than at the first sip, which is similar to some India Pale Ales. You notice IPAs. You take a few sips, this stuff's not bitter. Heck. Then when you're about halfway through the glass, you say, whoa, now I see why they said 70 IBUs is really starting to come in, which I like, especially when it's really bitter, Oh yeah. Oh, the mouth feels medium on both of these, and they both finish kind of standard. They don't linger too long. They don't drop too quick. So I ought to look up the tasting notes. Let's see. Sometimes this Microsoft Edge, it'll kick you out. Like it can't handle the traffic, like literally. And so if I get knocked off, don't blame me. Blame Internet Explorer. Okay, www.redemption. Here we go. Our whiskey. And nice little website. Oh, and another difference. The Redemption's from Indiana and the very Old Barton's from Kentucky, right across the river from each other, because the Lawrenceburg distillery is not but about, well, I think it's on the River Road. It's like right on the Ohio River, which makes sense. Then you can ship stuff on those barges everywhere. So they say it's in the heartland of Indiana. And it's not really in the heartland of Indiana. It's more like on the very edge of Indiana. I don't know how that's the heartland. Maybe Indianapolis is the heartland. I don't know how being on the very edge of Indiana is the heartland, but I'm not working in the Redemption marketing department. Tasting notes. Okay, let's see. We think you can never have too much rye. Oh yeah? So our high rye bourbon recipe approaches the upper limits of allowable rye grain in a bourbon mash bill. Okay. Classic sweet backbone of bourbon, yes. With strong notes of rye spice, yes. Added to the vanilla and caramel flavors, yep. Okay, seems to be what I'm tasting. Seems to be adding up. Let's go to www.greatbourbon.com, which is a great website, by the way. You don't have to do an age statement. It just says if you click this, it means you're over 21. Just click it. There you go. You're there. It's not a bunch of, because a 17-year-old couldn't get on the internet and make a story, like be, tell a lie about their age, right? They couldn't do that. But that's all for the company to have deniability. They can say, look, we asked them if they were old enough. We didn't know they were lying. And not to say that I think people should get on the internet and lie. Let's see, rock. Oh man, these people got so many great whiskeys. I mean, wouldn't I love to try them all? Bowman Brothers, John J. Bowman, Abraham Bowman, Bowman Brothers, Weller Special Reserve, Weller Antique 107, Weller Age 12, Hancock's President's Reserve. Ooh, Rock Hill Farms Single Barrel Collection. Boy, Old Charter. That's an old famous one. My friend Davis, that's an old man whiskey. They come in there in New Orleans to a bar. I want some Old Charter. They got a red nose. They drink it every day. They've been drinking it every day since 1967 when they were 20 years old. Okay, very Old Barton. Here we go. 80 proof. Carefully distilled and aged for generations in Bardstown. That's right. Like 2 generations. Only 2. This classic bourbon whiskey has a bold and rich taste. Bold and rich. I don't know about that. That goes down smooth, just as it has for decades. Well, it goes down smooth decades, like 5 decades. Rich, tawny, amber hue. I I don't know about rich tone. Lean, woody aroma, yes. A firm attack that leads to a medium-bodied palate. I did say medium-bodied. I don't know about the firm attack. Maybe a mellow attack. With a drying, woody character, yes. I said that. I said it didn't linger. It's drying. It drops. Dry, warm finish. Yeah, yes. Jim Murray's Whiskey Bible gives it a 90.5 out of 100. That's a high score. Oh, there's very Old Barton, 86 proof, 90 proof, and 100 proof. I knew there was different expressions. Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah. That's how I feel about stouts. It's not that heavy. Then quarter down the glass, I can't fit anything else in my stomach. Yeah, right. Especially the imperial stouts. It's like you drink a meal. Okay. Time to get serious. You ready to get serious? I'm ready to get serious. I think this is redemption because it's got a stronger rye note. But if I'm wrong, blame it on, don't blame me. If I'm wrong, don't blame me. Blame Sazerac Company because they keep making bourbons that are extremely high rye relative to other companies. So you got to call Sazerac and tell them to dial back the rye. And they'll probably say, no way, that's how we keep selling so much. But this is Redemption High Rye. Okay, hey. I think last time it was a little bit of carelessness, and I do agree with that. We talked about that in psychology class when I used to teach psychology, that there were roadblocks to problem solving. And what were some roadblocks to problem solving? One of them was overconfidence. In other words, you could solve the problem, but you failed because you were overconfident. So you didn't think things out, and you got sloppy, and you made some very obvious mistakes that, what I mean, they may have been obvious to other people, but they weren't obvious to you. Like, say, Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor. No, I don't think they were overconfident per se on the attack, the sneak attack. But they were pretty confident, but they were sloppy. They didn't even bother bombing any of the petroleum facilities. They had huge reservoirs, these oil tanks, you know, huge, whatever you call those things, tanks, right? Full of oil. That would have been more devastating to the U.S. war effort than bombing a bunch of, to a large extent, obsolete battleships, which most of them were repaired rather quickly. And after they sat down and did an analysis of the attack, the Japanese realized we had made a terrible mistake. We didn't bomb what we needed to bomb, the infrastructure. We bombed the flashy stuff. You see what I mean? They went after the flash instead of the infrastructure. So, but then they got overconfident after the attack, and they want to go grab everything. You know, grab everything. We're going to grab everything. We're going to win. Yay, yay. Look at the map. Look how much we've got. Look how big our territory is. Yeah, but there's one little problem. You got to defend all that territory. And how you plan to do that? Oh, that's right. You never made any plans to do that. You didn't think about it. You just did it. So, of course, once there was a counterattack, they can't stop it, and they destroyed. So that's what I'm saying. A roadblock to problem solving is overconfidence. Mr. Tank says, hi, Ronald. Hello, Blake. Good morning. So now who's the winner here? Well, I think the Redemption is the winner. It's got more character. I don't know about $23 a bottle versus $12 a bottle character, however. So there's the trade-off. Now that's when trade-offs come in, right? And that's part of problem solving when you think about it psychologically, trade-offs. Of course, this is a minor problem, right? Which whiskey to buy? That's not an important. That's not like what kind of career should I have? That's an important choice or conflict. This is a minor conflict. Should I buy the Redemption High Rye or should I buy the very Old Barton? Well, in most people's case, it's not a conflict because you can't get very Old Barton. We can't get it in Louisiana. It's sold in Kentucky. Good morning, says Mr. Tank. Good morning back to you. So this would be not an approach. Now, on the surface, it's an approach conflict, right? Meaning either choice you make is good. You can buy the Redemption High Rye and it's good. You'll enjoy it. And you can buy the very Old Barton and it's pretty good too, and you'll enjoy it. It's not, great or anything, but it's pretty good. So that's an approach conflict. You can't buy, let's say you got a limited amount of money and you can't buy both. So you choose. But when you think about it, it's actually an approach avoidance. It's a double approach avoidance conflict. Double approach avoidance, meaning this. There's a good and bad side to both options. What's the approach side of buying Redemption? Well, it's fairly high quality and you get a good flavor. The problem is it costs twice as much. Okay. How about this one? What's the approach part? Well, it's inexpensive. The very Old Barton is one of your cheaper bourbons on the market. Be like Heaven Hill bourbon or something like that. So it's very inexpensive. That's the approach part. Now, what's the avoidance part? Well, you don't get as much flavor, you see. You have to trade, you're trading price for flavor, or you're trading flavor for price. But that's how those double approach avoidance conflicts work. If you take this one over here, there's a good and bad side to it. If you take this one over here, there's a good and bad side to it. So you have to decide, right? What decision would I make in my personal life? Well, it would be no decision because I wouldn't buy either one again anyway. I'm always tasting new things, so I wouldn't. But let's just say for the sake of argument, I wanted to buy a regular bourbon to drink, just to be drinking. Oh, well, I'd probably buy the very Old Barton because I'd want to save money. Just being honest. It's the truth. But the point is moot. It's a moot point because I wouldn't buy either one because I'm too busy checking out each brand. Now, I'm 49 years old. At this rate, if I keep checking out every brand of beer and wine and liquor, what I'm going to be 99 years old on the internet tasting them, and I've covered 3% of the market. That's about all I'd accomplish. So, when I first started drinking beer in 1996, I wanted to try everything. You see, I want to try everything. I want to try everything. Well, in 1996, that was kind of like possible. You literally could try everything, I think. But once the beer industry exploded over the next 20 years, then you can't try everything. And there's no use trying to run after it. You drive yourself batty trying to keep up. And people will ask me, how come you didn't watch my review? It's like, I've never heard of that beer, okay? I can't relate to it. I'm not going to watch a beer review for a beer I've not had. I've never had it. I have no intention of buying it. So why would I watch the review? Now, if I happen to see it in the store and the price is good and I buy it, then I'll drink it. And yeah, I'll watch all the reviews. But I'm not just going to watch a review for the sake of watching it. I cannot do that. I'm sorry. I've never done that. And I had a fellow beer reviewer, and we used to do videos together. And this person got angry because I didn't put a like by all of her posts. She said, I put a like by everything. I said, but why would I put a like by something I don't like? And how can I like it if I've never had it? It doesn't make any sense. I might make a comment like, well, I'd like to try that, but how can I say I like it? I've never had it. So I couldn't understand that having resentment against a person who doesn't put a like. And I said, I don't put a perfunctory like. Okay. I don't perfunctory like everything. I cannot do that. That doesn't make, that's illogical to me. I only like things that I like. Does that make sense? Mr. Tank says, what history did you teach when you were a teacher and what grade? Okay, and then I'm going to shut this off because I got to go do some things. I taught world history, which is mostly European history. They call it Western civilization. If you want to be politically incorrect, but actually you'd be accurate, it would be white history. Okay, that's what some of the civil rights people say. We're tired of this white history. We don't want to hear about this white history. Well, because of course you don't. You don't like white people. Why would you want to hear about it? So if you're prejudiced and racist, history will bother you if it's about races and ethnic groups you don't like. See, I can read about Cambodian history. Why is that? Well, I have no hatred against Cambodians, so why would it bother me? I can read about the history of Congo. Well, I don't hate black people and I don't hate Africans, and I'm not prejudiced. So I don't sit there and say, oh, this black history bothers me. I read it. But if you have a hatred toward a certain group, you probably would have an issue learning about it. But anyway, just thought I'd bring that up. So I taught world history, American history, what else? Military history once. I taught, and I taught it in high school. Actually, I taught junior high history for a while. Louisiana history, that's right. Louisiana history is taught in 8th grade. So I taught 7th grade world history. Oh, sorry, American history. 8th grade Louisiana history, but that was just for a few years. And then I taught, the high school American history, world history, civics, free enterprise, you know what I mean? Psychology. Then I taught American history and world history for Southeastern Louisiana University and for Southern University in New Orleans. And that was a part-time gig, you know what I mean? Southeastern Louisiana University and Southern University in New Orleans. And but actually the pay was pretty good because back in 1994, yeah, like 94, I didn't say 2004, 94, 95, when I was teaching American history at night for Southeastern, they were paying $48 an hour. That was over 20 years ago, 48 bucks an hour. Now imagine what it would be today. That was sweet money, honestly. And it was an easy job, I mean, but you had, and some of the people I taught became teachers and they were older than me. These were like middle-aged women whose children were in middle school. So they went back to college, and they were great. I had this one lady, she was a Korean immigrant and she would make all A's at all times. You know what I'm saying? She could barely speak English now. You understand? Her English today is okay. Not particularly good, but it's much better than it used to be. But it was very ragged. In 1994, her English was very ragged. But she would always make a 96, 97, 98, 99 and ask detailed questions about the class. And if she made a 96, that means she missed 8 questions out of 50, something like that. So, 6 questions out of 50. So, what am I saying? 4. I'll get it right. 4 questions out of 50. Because that would be 46 times 2. No, I'm thinking backwards. See, I'm not a math teacher, but I know what I'm saying. I drank the whiskey. Blame it on the whiskey. 2 questions out of 50. Oh, Lord. Blame it on the whiskey. 2 questions out of 50, excuse me. But I would have to spend time after class showing her what was wrong. I would say, well, the reason you missed this question was such and such reason. And she would say, oh, I understand. So George Washington, so and so, so. I say, right. Now, none of the other students, they were like, 18-year-old to 22-year-old taking a night class. They would say, how come I made a C? Why did I make a C on this test? But I would trap them. I'd say, oh, we'll talk about it. But see, they wanted to talk about it at the beginning of class. I'd say, all you got to do is stay after class and we'll talk about it at 9 o'clock. Once class ends at 9 o'clock, we'll talk about it. Well, guess what? They never stayed. They want to get out of Dodge. So that's how you could get around it. But that one lady from Korea, she would stay, and a few others, they'd stay after class and they want to talk about it. So anyway, that was a fantastic experience teaching history, but it did hurt my voice. You can hear my voice is very gravelly now, right? So I can't handle it anymore. Even when I go to a game, I don't cheer. I just clap politely because it's too much voice damage. Jacob Miller says, good morning, Jay. Good morning, Jacob. Hey, Jacob now. Oh, that's right. You don't do the whiskey. I'm sorry. We're doing Buchanan's 12-year age Scotch on February 12th. So anybody can join that if you'd love to examine Buchanan's 12-year age. That was a dynamite product. Woo! Well, it is $40 a bottle. It better be dynamite. Better be dynamite. All right. But I got a deal on it. I got a great deal. All right. Thanks for watching this rambling, but still focused. It was focused, rambling, yet focused, because the rambling had a focus to it, right? So video production. And what's next? Well, I do believe I would like to put the Redemption Rye up against Jethro T. Boots, a 4-year age straight Kentucky bourbon, probably very similar to very Old Barton. Jethro T. Boots, available at your local CVS pharmacy, if you're allowed to have liquor sales at your CVS pharmacies, which we are. Okay, thank you very much.